The year is 2142. Somewhere in space, a Weyland-Yutani drone intercepts the drifting wreckage of the spaceship USCSS Nostromo. Later, an investigation begins, conducted by specialists. They open the object and find a lab inside, housing a xenomorph curled up in the fetal position. Meanwhile, in the Jackson Star colony, a young woman named Rain Karine wakes up to the sound of an alarm calling her to work in the mines. During breakfast, her adopted brother Andy joins her, trying to cheer her up. He hopes to earn money to buy tickets for a flight to Iga, but Rain asks him to wait as she heads to the colony office. Rain has met her work quota and hopes she can finally leave, especially since her parents are gone and nothing ties her to the colony anymore. However, against the rules, the office worker denies her resignation and tells her the quota has been increased. At that moment, Rain sees a gang of young thugs beating up her brother. She rushes to protect him and discovers that Andy is a synthetic human. Rain resets him and he regains consciousness. Just then, her ex-boyfriend Tyler calls her to discuss a profitable deal. The girl fears some kind of scheme, so she heads to the outskirts of the town where the space tug Corbelan is parked. Nearby, Tyler's cousin Bjorn and his girlfriend Navarro are working on the tug. Rain and Andy board the ship, where they are warmly greeted by Tyler's sister Kay. Rain is told that yesterday, they accidentally discovered an abandoned spaceship orbiting the planet. They have already completed their required quotas, but the planet's administration won't let them leave. So the group decided to take the tug to the derelict ship, hoping to find cryo chambers that could help them escape to Iga, a planet with better living conditions. They invited Rain because she has Andy, and only a synthetic human like him can interact with the ship's computer systems. Tyler reminds Rain that if she refuses, she will spend the rest of her life stuck in the colony. Rain agrees. The group flies on the mining transport to the abandoned spaceship. For some reason, Bjorn keeps mocking Andy, which Rain does not like. The synthetic Andy remains friendly and ignores Bjorn's mocking. The tug rises above the planet, and Rain sees the sun for the first time. Soon they reach the space object and realize it is more of a decommissioned outpost stuck in orbit. However, they also discover that the station is falling rapidly toward the planet's rings, and in 36 hours, it will collide with them. Rain asks Andy to reconsider before boarding the ship, but Andy has only one directive, written by Rain's father: do everything for her. The tug docks with the station, and Andy's signal easily opens the airlock. Tyler, Bjorn, and Andy board the station, following the scanner's directions to the capsules. The systems are malfunctioning, gravity is unstable, but the ship's motherboard powers up and activates the oxygen supply. Finally, Tyler reaches the capsules and discovers that, while they are intact, there isn't enough cryo fuel for the flight to Iga. The group discovers another cryo chamber on board, which, judging by its size, should contain plenty of fuel. They head toward it. Meanwhile, Rain, puzzled by Bjorn's hostility toward Andy, learns that during an accident in the mine, a synthetic left Bjorn's injured mother behind. Since then, he has hated androids. Meanwhile, Navarro goes to check the capsules, and Kay confesses to Rain that she is pregnant. The station system greets the group, informing them that the station is divided into two sections, Romula and Remus. Bjorn then reveals the truth to Andy. He is only needed during the initial stage, after which they will leave him behind to die. Rain overhears this and starts crying, as she didn't have the courage to tell her brother the truth. The group continues to explore the station, surprised that it doesn't look decommissioned, but rather as if it was simply abandoned. Bjorn finds an electric whip and teases Andy again, but the synthetic saves him from falling into a large hole in the floor. There, they see half the body of the ship's synthetic. The group finds a large, still functioning cryo chamber and begins extracting fuel from it, but they accidentally activate automatic lockdown. For some reason, the lockdown doesn't respond to Andy's commands, suggesting the room is somehow dangerous. Meanwhile, Rain and Navarro board the ship to rescue the men. Rain removes a chip from a damaged android and plans to plug it into Andy's brain, hoping it will give him full control over the station. While Rain works, Navarro admires the ship's technical features in amazement. Suddenly, the synthetic grabs Rain by the hand, but Navarro helps her escape. They locate the group and give the chip to Tyler, who installs it into Andy. The synthetic freezes as he reboots. During the reboot, Andy catches a glimpse of strange creatures seated inside the ship. Meanwhile, Bjorn finds odd bio-orbs in a half-flooded chamber nearby. However, before he can figure out what they are, he is attacked by invisible creatures in the water. Tyler tries to help Bjorn but is attacked by a facehugger. Andy reboots just in time and saves Bjorn. The group runs, but the facehuggers easily break through the doors, and one of the creatures attaches itself to Navarro's face. Suddenly, Andy starts explaining the scientific nature of the creature's actions, surprising everyone. Rain realizes this is because of the chip, but Andy suddenly refuses to obey her. The chip doesn't give Andy full access to the station. It fixes bugs in his programming, but also cancels his mission to serve Rain. To save Navarro, Andy activates the damaged android Rook, a scientist from the station. Rook tells the group that the station's crew was killed by these creatures and that Navarro cannot be saved. The parasite has implanted a seed inside her, which will quickly merge with her DNA, allowing the xenomorph to grow. Rook shows them a preserved specimen in the lab and explains that humans first encountered this species 20 years ago. Only one woman survived by managing to throw the creature into an airlock. When the company found out about this, they started searching for it. They found the creature, thinking space had killed it, but it turned out the organism was only asleep. Rain suggests freezing it. The parasite's tail touches the cryofuel, and when this works, Navarro regains consciousness. Rook warns Andy that the facehugger likely finished its mission and advises against letting Navarro back on the tug. Despite this, Bjorn takes Navarro onto the Kerballen, leaving Andy, Tyler, and Rain behind. They detach the tug, and Kay wakes up, confused about what is happening. Suddenly, Navarro starts feeling unwell. Kay tries to help, but a xenomorph bursts from Navarro's chest, killing her. The Kerballen crashes into the Romulus hangar, disturbing the station's orbit, setting it on an inevitable collision course with Jackson's planetary rings. Rain, Andy, and Tyler rush to the hangar to save their friends and attempt to escape on the tug. Meanwhile, Rook makes his way to the command center and contacts the ship's motherboard. As Tyler and Rain navigate through the station, they encounter more creatures swarming the ship's corridors. Andy discovers that the facehuggers can't see, but they can detect human body heat. To pass by the creatures undetected, they must raise the air temperature to 36.6 degrees Celsius and remain very quiet. The pair follows through with this plan, slowly making their way toward the hangar. Meanwhile, Kay escapes the Kerballen and runs into Bjorn in one of the corridors. Together, they try to flee the Kerballen, but the passage is filled with xenomorph cocoons, indicating the creatures are undergoing metamorphosis into their adult forms. Bjorn tries to destroy one of the cocoons with an electric whip, and at first it seems to work. Kay tries to pull him away, but Bjorn becomes fascinated by the creature's blood, which easily burns through metal barriers. Suddenly, the xenomorph sprays him with acid, and Bjorn dies as his body disintegrates from the corrosive blood. Kay reaches the door but cannot open it. Tyler and Rain try to help her, but they are attacked by facehuggers. They flee, and Andy seals the doors behind them, completely cutting Kay off from escaping. Despite Tyler's pleas, Andy refuses to open the hangar door where Kay is trapped. The group watches helplessly as the xenomorph attacks Kay and drags her into the depths of the station. After the initial shock, Rain realizes what happened. Andy now has a new directive to act in the best interest of the company. Rain understands that they need to remove the chip. Andy orders everyone to leave, explaining that he will help them escape and then return to Jackson following his new mission. Andy leads the pair to the laboratory, where Rook explains that the station discovered a unique substance meant to help humanity evolve into perfect beings capable of colonizing the entire universe. The Prometheus 5 died for this purpose, and it's considered a divine gift to humanity. The substance contains a genome responsible for the xenomorph's ability to control its metabolism, which can be rewritten into human DNA through blood, allowing humanity to evolve instantly. Andy finds a capsule of black liquid, as his mission is now to deliver the sample to the colony. He gives the pair weapons, hoping they won't need to use them. As the xenomorph's acidic blood can easily burn through the ship's hull, the group makes their way to the tug, discovering a huge incubator of creatures along the way. Suddenly, Tyler hears Kay's voice and rushes to help. Rain is forced to follow him. Soon they find Kay, still alive but cocooned by the xenomorph. They free her, and Andy suggests injecting her. The black liquid is suggested to be injected into Kay, but Rain opposes the idea. She suggests putting Kay in a cryochamber so Earth's doctors can save her. Just then, a xenomorph attacks them and drags Tyler away. Andy freezes, leaving Rain to drag Kay to the lift and seal the doors behind them. Rain catches Andy's farewell glance and realizes she can't leave him behind. She sends Kay to the ship, explaining how to handle the sample capsule, and goes back for Andy. She removes the extra chip from his brain, restoring him to his original behavior. But then the creatures start to activate. Rain asks Rook to open the doors, but he refuses to risk the station. Andy's access codes are also blocked. Meanwhile, Kay reaches the Kerballen, where she hears Rook's call asking her to transfer control to him so he can take her to the colony. Kay injects herself with the black liquid, believing it will heal her wounds and protect her unborn child. Rain temporarily disables the ship's artificial gravity to shoot down the attacking xenomorphs. She and Andy make it to the lift toward the Kerballen, dodging flying splatters of acidic blood. But when gravity is restored, Rain loses her weapon and falls into the elevator shaft, where a xenomorph intercepts her. At the same time, the acidic blood begins burning through the ship's metal, and Andy can no longer hold on. The lift falls, crushing the xenomorph and leaving Rain clinging to the wall of the shaft. However, a new monster soon appears, but Andy arrives with a new weapon and kills it. They hear a warning about the station's inevitable collision and rush to the tug, which is now under the control of the mothership. Just before the station crashes into the rings, destroying it along with Rook, Rain stops the Kerballen and informs Andy that their plan has changed. They're heading to Iaga. Suddenly, alarming signals come from Kay's capsule. Rain quickly runs to it and finds that Kay is giving birth to an egg, from which a mutant xenomorph hatches. Rain ejects it into a cargo capsule, arms herself, and descends to finish off the creature. However, the creature has already grown and broken free, using Kay's body as sustenance. Rain hears Kay's screams and rushes to help, only to find Andy wounded by the monster. She barely manages to witness the xenomorph kill Kay and escapes into the transition chamber. Putting on a spacesuit, she lures the xenomorph into the cargo hold. As the tug lands on the surface of the ring, she ejects it into space, holding onto a rail. However, the xenomorph grabs her, almost smashing her helmet's visor. Nevertheless, Rain manages to break free and climb back aboard the ship. Later, Rain places Andy in one of the stasis chambers, and before going into cryosleep herself, contemplates their prospects upon arriving at Iaga. The film is a worthy representative of the franchise, though not groundbreaking. Perhaps the director understood that it's better to give fans what they want, rather than venture into questionable experiments. The result is a careful adaptation with solid cinematography, practical and computer effects, in 2 hours of suspense.